What do you want?
Mrs. David Copperfield?
Yes.
Miss Trotwood. You've heard of her, I dare say.
Yes.
Now you see her. In heaven's name, why rookery?
Oh, the house, you mean?
Why call it rookery? Cookery would have been more to the purpose if you'd had any practical ideas of life, either of you.
Well, the name was Mr. Copperfield's choice. When we bought the house, he liked to think there were rooks about it.
I don't see any. What became of them?
There haven't been any since we lived here. We thought... Mr. Copperfield thought that it was quite a large rookery. But the nests were all old ones, and the birds had deserted them long ago.
How like my nephew, David Copperfield, from head to foot, calls the house a rookery when there's not a rook near it, and takes the birds on trust because he sees the nests.
Please don't speak unkindly of him, Miss Trotwood.
Was he good to you, child?
We were very happy.
I hope he left you well provided, did he? What arrangements did he make before he died?
He bought an annuity.
How much?
£105 a year.
Well, he might have done worse. Oh, do sit down, my dear. You don't look at all well. You must take great care of yourself, Clara.
Yes?
Yes. When's the girl due to be born?
The girl?
I have a presentiment that it'll be a girl. And from the moment of her birth, I intend to be her friend. I intend to be her godmother, Clara. And I beg you'll call her Betsy Trotwood Copperfield.
Oh, but...
There's to be no mistakes in life with this Betsy Trotwood. There's to be no trifling with her affections, poor dear. She must be well brought up and well guarded from placing any foolish confidences where they're not deserved. I shall make that my care.
But it might be a boy.
No, no, out of the question.
If it is, I shall call him David, like his father. Please.
What is it, child? What's the matter?
Fetch the doctor, quickly. Fetch Mr. Chillip. I brought you a cup of tea, Miss Trotwood, Mum.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. How's your mistress? Is the doctor still with her?
Yes, Mum. He's been there nigh on 4 hours, Mum.
Good heavens, what time is it?
It's just gone midnight, Mum. I heard it striking just now.
What is it she calls you? Peggotty?
Yes, Mum.
Peggotty.
It's my name, Mum.
You don't mean to tell me that a human being went into church and got herself christened Peggotty?
It's my surname, Mum. Mrs. Copperfield called me that because our Christian names are the same, Mum. Mr. Chillip.
Well, Doctor, how is she?
I'm happy to congratulate you, Miss Trotwood. Everything is now over, ma'am, and well over.
Oh,
Hush, be quiet. How is she, Mr. Chillip?
She'll soon be quite comfortable, I hope, as comfortable as you can expect a young mother to be under these melancholy domestic circumstances.
And the baby? How is she?
She, ma'am? It's a boy.
Boy?
Oh, yes, ma'am, he's absolutely splendid, healthy young fellow, kicking quite vigorously.
Fool!
a boy, Mr. Chillip.
Born at midnight with a caul on his head. It's a good omen, Peggotty. At least he'll never drown.
Davy.
I was a nursery governess in a family your dear father came to visit. He was so kind to me, paid me a great deal of attention. Then at last he proposed to me. I accepted him, and so we were married. He was twice my age exactly. Always gentle. If only his health had been better, if only he'd lived to see you, Davy.
Peggotty, were you ever married?
Lord, Master Davy, what put marriage in your head?
Were you, Peggotty? You're a handsome woman after all.
Me, handsome? I'm nothing of the sort.
I think you are.
I never heard such nonsense in all my life. Now, pass me that pillow, there's a good boy.
Peggotty, you mustn't marry more than one person at a time, must you?
Dear me, certainly not.
But if you marry a person and that person dies, you may marry again, mayn't you?
Well, you may if you choose. It's a matter of opinion.
What's your opinion, Peggotty?
Well, my opinion, Master Davy, is I was never married myself, and I don't intend to be. And that's all I can say on the subject. Now, careful. You're standing on the blanket.
I'm going to Lowestoft next week. I have friends there with the yacht.
That will be very pleasant for you.
Yes, it will. I only hope the weather holds.
Oh, I think it will.
I hope so. It's been a remarkable summer.
How long will you be staying?
Only for the day. This little village holds too many attractions for me to stay away any longer.
Davy? Davy, what are you doing down here? Davy, Davy.
What a lucky little boy. Not even a king could be more privileged.
What does he mean?
I mean, you're lucky to be embraced by a woman such as your mother.
You should be in bed.
I couldn't sleep.
Come along now. Say good night to Mr. Murdstone. Don't be so foolish, Davy.
He's shy, that's all.
You remember Mr. Murdstone?
Come on, Davy. Let's shake hands. Let's be the best friends in the world, shall we? Wrong hand, David. Wrong hand.
What a silly boy you are.
Well, now, my fine young man, how would you like to come on an adventure?
What adventure?
I'm going to Lowestoft next week. How would you like to come with me?
I don't know.
Well, of course you would, Davy. Say thank you to Mr. Murdstone. It's very kind of him to ask you.
Thank you, Mr. Murdstone. It's very kind of you to ask me.
Now, you be a good boy, won't you, Davy? You behave yourself. And don't speak unless you're spoken to. There. There. Very smart you look. Your mamma want Mr. Murdstone to think well of you.
Why?
Dear me, what a question.
Why, Peggotty? Is he important?
Well, of course he's important. All gentlemen are important. Now, have you got a clean handkerchief? Oh, well, comb your hair.
Ah! And who's this little shaver?
That's Davy.
Davy who? Davy Jones?
David Copperfield.
What? The bewitching Mrs. Copperfield's encumbrance? The pretty little widow?
Careful, Quinion, somebody's sharp.
Who is?
Brooks of Sheffield.
What is the opinion of Brooks of Sheffield in reference to the projected business?
He doesn't understand too much about it at present, but not generally favourable.
Oh.
Here's the sherry.
Ah!
There you go. Now, Davy, one for you. Help yourself to a biscuit.
Am I to drink this, sir?
Of course you are.
We'll drink a toast, Master Copperfield.
I've never done that before, sir.
Now's the time to learn. Stand up straight. Raise your glass and say, "Confusion to Brooks of Sheffield." Come along, Master Copperfield. Let's hear the toast.
Confusion to Brooks of Sheffield.
What did they say, Davy? Tell me again. I can't quite believe it.
He said you were bewitching.
No, it was never bewitching. Surely it can't have been bewitching.
But it was. Bewitching Mrs. Copperfield. And pretty.
No, it was never pretty.
But I heard him, Mamma. Pretty little widow, he said.
Oh, what ridiculous creatures men can be. Davy, don't tell Peggotty about this. She might be angry with them. Well, I'm angry with them myself, of course, but I'd rather Peggotty didn't know. You won't tell her, will you?
If you don't want me to,
Promise.
I promise.
Good boy. Sleep well, Davy. God bless you.
Good night, Mamma. Mamma? Who's Brooks of Sheffield?
Who?
Brooks of Sheffield. Mr. Murdstone talked about him.
Probably one of his business friends. Good night, Davy. Go to sleep. Peggotty,
Yes, my dear?
have you told him?
No, my dear, not yet.
But I asked you.
There's been no chance.
asked you this
I
morning.
know.
Where is he?
Upstairs, reading one of his books.
Davy? Davy! Tell him now, Peggotty. You must tell him.
Yes, Mamma?
Peggotty's got a surprise for you, Davy.
A surprise? What is it, Peggotty? Please tell me. Please.
I've been planning a trip, Master Davy.
What sort of a trip?
Well, for you and me. Now, how'd you like to spend a fortnight at my brother's house? Wouldn't that be a treat?
Where does he live, Peggotty?
At Yarmouth, right alongside the sea.
Is he an agreeable man?
Oh, what an agreeable man he is. And then there's the sea, and there's the boats and ships, and the beach, and Am to play with. Now, wouldn't that be a treat?
What about you, Mamma?
No, I'll stay here. I'm not very fond of the seaside.
But who'll look after you?
Oh, Davy.
You can't live here alone. Not for a whole fortnight.
Well, of course I can. What a thing to say. Go to Yarmouth, Davy. I want you to.
Then I'll go. Wake up, Peggotty! There's the sea!
Oh! Come on, Master Copperfield.
Boathouse, Master Davy?
What? That ship-looking thing?
Yes! Come on! Here's my brother Dan.
How do you do, Mr. Peggotty?
I'm glad to see you, sir. You'll find us rough, but you'll find us ready.
Thank you very much.
How's your ma? You leave her pretty jolly?
Oh, yes, as jolly as I could wish.
Aye, she hasn't been too well, are you?
She's not very strong, Mr. Peggotty, but she's been much improved lately.
Ah, that's good news. I'm glad to hear that.
This is Emily. Little Emily, we calls her.
How do you do, Emily?
We're all so pleased you could come to see us, Master Davy.
Aye, pleased and proud.
And this is Ham, my great strapping nephew.
How do you do, Ham?
Don't mind the smell of fish, sir. Soon get used to it.
It just can't get rid of it, no matter what we do.
Doesn't worry me.
I knew you'd be happy here, Davy.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's just like Aladdin's palace.
Oh, you're the first person to call it a palace, sir. That's a fact.
It's more like an ark, really. Is that why you called your son Ham?
No, sir, I never give him no name.
Who did then?
Well, I say his father give his name to him.
But I thought you were his father.
No, my brother Joe's his father.
He's dead, Master Davy.
Dead, Mr. Peggotty.
I drowned dead.
Little Emily, she's your daughter, isn't she, Mr. Peggotty?
Ah, now my brother-in-law, Tom, he was her father.
Dead, Mr. Peggotty.
Drowned dead, Master Davy.
Haven't you any children?
No, sir, I'm bachelor door.
A bachelor? Then who's that lady in the corner?
That's Mrs. Gummidge.
This is Mrs. Gummidge, Davy.
How do you do, Mrs. Gummidge?
I'm a lone, lorn creature.
Everything goes contrary with me.
She feels a cold, Master Davy.
I feel it more than other people.
Aye, the nights on here get chill and misty this time of year, but you'll be snug enough in here.
Yes, I'm sure I will. I suppose you're quite a sailor, aren't you?
No. No, I'm afraid of the sea.
Afraid? I ain't.
It's so cruel, Davy. I've seen it be so very cruel. I've seen it tear a boat as big as our house, all to pieces.
I hope that wasn't the boat that Father was drowned in.
No, not that one. I've never seen that boat.
Nor him.
Not to remember.
I've never seen my father either.
Yes, but your father was a gentleman, Davy, and your mother's a lady. My father was a fisherman, and my mother's a fisherman's daughter, and my Uncle Dan's a fisherman.
He must be very good. Your Uncle Dan, I should think.
Good. If I were ever to be a lady, I'd buy him a sky blue coat with diamond buttons, nankeen trousers, a red velvet waistcoat, a cocked hat, a large gold watch, a silver pipe, and a box of money.
You would like to be a lady?
Yes, I should like it very much. We'd all be gentlefolk then. Me and Uncle Dan and Ham and Mrs. Gummidge.
Is Mrs. Gummidge always so unhappy?
It's because she misses the old un.
Alden?
Mr. Gummidge. He used to be Uncle Dan's partner, but he died. He died very poor. She never stops thinking about him.
A storm at sea must be very frightening.
There's nothing worse, nothing in the whole world. I wake sometime when it blows and tremble to think of Uncle Dan and Ham out in their boats. I believe I hear them crying out for help. I get so afraid, so afraid. Come on. Don't you think you're afraid of the sea now?
No, you don't seem to be either, though you say you are.
I'm not afraid of it this way. Not a bit. Look here.
Emily, come back! Oh, Emily, come back! Emily!
I'm so glad you came to see us, Davy.
So am I. I think you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Do you love me, Emily?
Of course I do.
If you didn't, I think I'd have to kill myself.
Kill yourself?
I'd run myself through with a sword. Come on, Peggotty.
Don't be impatient. Davy! Here, take hold of this.
Why isn't Mama out to greet me?
Oh, Davy, there's something...
Peggotty!
There's something I should have told you, but I couldn't exactly bring my mind to it.
Mama!
Davy!
Mama!
Well, don't stand there staring, boy. What's the matter?
Where's Mama, Peggotty? Why isn't she here?
She's fine, Davy.
No, she isn't. There's something wrong. I know there is.
There's nothing wrong, David. Your mother's in the parlour.
Mama!
Davy! Oh, Davy, my own darling, darling Davy.
Is that your boy, Clara?
Yes. This is Davy.
Generally speaking, I don't like boys. How do you do, boy?
Very well, thank you.
This is Mr. Murdstone's sister, Davy. She's coming to live with us.
Why?
Your mother has something to tell you, David.
What is it?
Davy, dear. Davy, Mr. Murdstone and I have got married. He is your new father.
don't want him for my father.
Davy?
That boy wants manners.
Davy?
Control yourself, Clara.
Well, I'm sorry, Davy. I should have told you, but I couldn't exactly bring my mind to it.
Clara, my dear, I've been thinking. I came here, as you know, to relieve you of all the trouble I can. You're much too pretty and delicate to have any duties imposed upon you that can be done by me.
What duties? What do you mean?
If you'll be so good as to give me the household keys, I'll attend to all domestic matters in future.
But I couldn't let you do that.
Why not?
Well, there's no need, Edward. I've managed quite well in the past.
Matter of opinion.
But I have, Edward, truly. Ask Peggotty.
I'm not in the habit of asking servants for advice, least of all someone like Peggotty.
She's the kindest soul in the world. I can't think why you don't like her.
She called you Mrs. Copperfield twice yesterday.
A slip of the tongue, that was all.
What this household needs is a firm hand. There's far too much waste and extravagance.
That is just not true.
It's not your fault. I'm not saying that.
Why don't you just leave everything to Jane, my dear?
But I can't, Edward. How can I?
You've been ill, after all. You need some help.
Yes, but I can't leave everything to you.
Be sensible, Clara. My sister knows best.
Edward, please. It's very hard in my own house.
My own house?
Our own house, I mean. You know what I mean, Edward. It's very hard in our own house to be told what to do.
If I'm not wanted, I shall go tomorrow.
Be quiet, Jane.
I don't want you to go. I don't want anyone to go. I'm not being unreasonable. I'd just like to be consulted sometimes. That's not unreasonable, is it?
Consulted? What does she mean, consulted?
It's for your own good, my dear. You're far too inexperienced.
But I thought you liked that. You've said so many times.
I shall go tomorrow.
Will you be quiet? Clara, you surprise me. You astound me.
Edward, please,
It is true that I felt a certain satisfaction in the thought of marrying an inexperienced and artless person, of forming her character, fusing into it the firmness and decision of which it stood in need. But when Jane is kind enough to come to my assistance in this endeavour, and to assume for my sake a position not unlike a housekeeper, and when she meets with such a base return...
Oh, no, Edward, I'm not ungrateful. Please don't think that.
And when she meets, as I say, with such a base return, that feeling of mine is chilled and altered.
Don't say that, Edward. Please don't say that. I can't bear to hear it.
This is no fit scene for a boy, Edward.
Indeed it is not. Go to your room, Davy. Go to your room, sir.
I'm so sorry, Jane. Please forgive me. Please, please, let us be friends.
This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars. This other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself, against,
Infection?
Against infection and the hand of war. This blessed...
Happy?
This happy breed of men. This,
Little...
Stop helping him, Clara.
He's nervous, Edward. He knows it perfectly well.
Nonsense.
Go on, Davy. Don't be nervous.
This happy breed of men. This little world. This blessed,
Precious.
This precious... This precious...
Davy, Davy.
Be firm with the boy, Clara. He either knows his lesson or he doesn't know it.
Quite obviously, he doesn't know it.
But I do.
Don't contradict me, David.
I do know
David,
it.
if I have an obstinate horse or dog to deal with, what do you think I do? I beat him. I make him wince and smart. I say to myself, I'll conquer that fellow, and if it were to cost him the last drop of blood he had, I should do it. Do you understand my meaning?
Yes, sir.
Very well, try again.
This earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against...
Against infection!
Yes, sir, I do know it.
You do not!
I do!
You and I will go upstairs, boy.
No, Edward, please.
Stay here, Clara.
Please give him another
You're
chance.
too soft with the boy. He needs a flogging.
No, sir, I know it, sir. I do know it, sir. I learned it.
had enough of your lies, your idleness. I shall make you smart, sir. I shall make you wise.
Peggotty? Is that you, Peggotty?
Yes, my dear.
He's locked me in, Peggotty.
Yes, I know. Shh, you be as quiet as a mouse or the cat'll hear us.
How's Mama, Peggotty? Is she angry with me?
She's more upset than angry.
What about me? What are they going to do to me?
School, my dear. Near London.
When?
Tomorrow. Oh, Davy.
Peggotty?
Goodbye, Davy.
You don't need to worry, Mum. He won't come to no harm.
Oh, Mr. Barkis. Mr. Barkis, you give him that. And you tell him he's always in Peggotty's thoughts, always.
No need to worry, Mum. He'll be all right.
Are you going all the way, Mr. Barkis?
All the way where?
There,
Where's there?
near London.
London. Huh. Why, this horse would be deader than pork before he got over half the ground.
Are you only going to Yarmouth, then?
Aye, that's about it. I'll take you to the stagecoach, and the stagecoach will take you on to wherever it is. Give me that, Master Davy. Try quicker this way.
Would you like a cake, Mr. Barkis?
Thank you, boy. Did she make 'em?
Who, Peggotty?
Ah, her.
Yes. She makes all our cakes and does all our cooking.
Does she, though? No sweethearts, I believe.
Sweetmeats, did you say, Mr. Barkis?
Ah, sweethearts. No person walks with her.
With Peggotty?
Ah,
Oh, no. She never had a sweetheart.
didn't she? So she makes all the apple passes and does all the cooking, does she?
Yes, Mr. Barkis.
Well, I'll tell you what. Perhaps you might be writing to her.
Oh, certainly I should be writing to her, Mr. Barkis.
And if you was to be writing to her, you might recollect to tell her that Barkis was willing, would you?
Barkis is willing? Is that all the message?
Let it all.
Barkis is willing?
Barkis is willing.
You better wait here, Copperfield. Mr. Creakle will be along in a moment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for meeting me. And thank you for the breakfast.
Enjoyed it, did you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, they're coming. Now, stand up straight. This is the new boy, sir, David Copperfield. I met him off the coach.
Close the door as you leave, Mr. Mell.
Yes, sir.
So, this is the young gentleman whose teeth are to be filed. What's the report on this boy?
There's nothing against him yet. There's been no opportunity.
Come here, boy.
Come here.
I have the happiness of knowing your stepfather, and a worthy man he is. He knows me, and I know him. Do you know me, eh?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet, eh? But you will soon, eh?
You will soon, eh?
I tell you what I am, sir. I'm a Tartar.
A Tartar.
When I say I'll do a thing, I do it.
Do it.
I'm a determined character, Copperfield. That's what I am. And I do my duty.
Do my duty.
And I can bite too, sir. This is my tooth. A sharp tooth, is it not? A double tooth, eh? With a deep prong, eh? Where's the placard, Mr. Tungay?
Here, Mr. Creakle.
Tie it on him, then. We'll see that he doesn't use his sharp teeth around here. We'll teach him a lesson or two at Salem House.
We'll teach him a lesson or two.
I shouldn't try to hide it if I were you. It'll only make the fellows more curious.
Do you think so?
Oh, yes, sure of it. Much better to make a joke of the whole thing. Name's Traddles, by the way. Tommy Traddles.
How'd you do?
They say you took a bite out of your stepfather.
Yes, he was going to beat me.
Good for you. Shows spirit, that does. What do you make of the Creakle?
He's a bit alarming, isn't he?
Can be, yes. He hasn't always been a schoolmaster, you know. Used to be a hop dealer in the Borough, but he went bankrupt. Tungay was his assistant, and he knows all Creakle's secrets. Listen. Mr. Mell playing his flute.
He brought me here from the coach.
Isn't his wig dreadful? Second hand, I'm told. He goes out every Saturday afternoon to have it curled. Come on, let's have a stroll.
All right, that's enough. Cut along there.
People, this is Copperfield.
And what do you think you're doing here, Traddles?
Well,
And Mr. Creakle's looking for you.
Why? What for?
You've been drawing skeletons again, haven't you? All over your Latin grammar.
Oh, Lord. Is he going to beat me?
Of course he's going to beat you. You better hurry along, otherwise it'll be 12 strokes instead of 6.
Oh, thanks, Steerforth. Bye, Copperfield.
Well now, young Copperfield. What money have you got?
7 shillings, sir.
You better give it to me to take care of. At least you can if you like. You needn't if you don't like.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like to spend anything now?
No, thank you, sir.
You can if you like, you know. Just say the word.
No, sir.
Well, perhaps you'd like to spend a shilling or so on a bottle of currant wine up in the bedroom. You belong to my bedroom.
Yes, please, sir. I'd like that very much.
Good. You'll be glad to spend another shilling or two on almond cakes, I dare say.
Yes, please, sir.
And another on biscuits. And another on fruit, eh?
Yes, sir. I'm very fond of biscuits.
I say, young Copperfield, you're going it a bit, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, we must make it stretch as far as we can. And don't worry about your money. I'll take good care of it.
Why is he always drawing skeletons?
Gives him comfort. Reminds him that one day he'll be dead, and a skeleton himself.
Why should that give him comfort?
Well, he knows that old Creakle won't be able to beat him then. Quite the reader, ain't you, Davy?
Yes, I like stories.
I bet you read well. Out loud, I mean. That voice of yours. I tell you what, you can read out to me if you like. And we'll start tomorrow night with this one. The Arabian Nights, all right?
If that's what you want, sir, yes.
Call me Steerforth. And don't worry. If anything goes wrong, I'll look after you, Copperfield. Remember that.
Thank you, sir. You're very kind. I'm much obliged.
You haven't got a sister, have you?
No, sir.
Well, that's a pity. If you had one, I should think she'd have been a pretty little bright-eyed sort of a girl. I should have liked to know her. Good night, young Copperfield.
Good night, sir.
Silence, Mr. Steerforth!
Silence yourself.
Sit down.
Sit down yourself.
If you think, Steerforth, I have not observed you urging your juniors on to every sort of outrage against me, you are mistaken.
Oh, I don't give myself the trouble of thinking about you at all, Mr. Mel. And so I'm not mistaken, as it happens.
And when you make use of your position of favoritism to insult a gentleman...
A what? Where is he?
Shame, Steerforth. Too bad.
Hold your tongue, Traddles. To insult one who is not fortunate in life, Mr. Steerforth, and who never gave you the least offence. You commit an action that is both base and mean.
I always thought you a beggar. Now I see that you're an impudent beggar.
Mr. Mel, you've not forgotten yourself, I hope.
No, sir, no, I've not forgotten myself, Mr. Creakle. I've remembered myself just in time.
Now, sir, what is all this?
He was talking about favourites.
Favourites? Who's talked about favourites?
He did. Mr. Mel.
And pray, sir, what did you mean by it?
I meant what I said, Mr. Creakle. No pupil has the right to avail himself of his position of favouritism to degrade me.
To degrade you, sir? Give me leave to ask, when you talked of favourites, whether you showed proper respect to me. To me, sir! The principal of this establishment and your employer.
It was not judicious, Mr. Creakle, sir. I'm willing to admit that.
Then he said I was mean, sir. And then he said I was base. And then I called him a beggar. Perhaps I shouldn't have done that, sir. But I did, and I'm willing to take the consequences.
Well, I'm surprised, Steerforth. More than surprised, I must say, that you should attach such an epithet to anyone employed here in Salem House.
Let him deny it.
Deny that he's a beggar? Where does he go begging?
Well, if he's not a beggar, his near relation's one. It's all the same.
What near relations? What do you mean?
His mother lives on charity in an almshouse.
Hear what this gentleman says, Mr. Mel. Have the goodness, if you please, to set him right before the assembled school.
He is right, sir, without correction. What he says is true.
How did you discover this?
Copperfield told me.
Copperfield? Copperfield? And how did you find out, Master Copperfield?
I took him there, sir.
Took him where?
To the almshouse when I met him off the coach. My mother cooked his breakfast.
I see. Would you be so good as to declare publicly whether this ever came to my notice until this moment?
I believe not directly, sir.
Why, you know not. You know it, sir.
I assume you never supposed my worldly circumstances to be very good. You know what my position is and always has been here.
It seems, Mr. Mel, that you've been in the wrong position altogether. That you thought this was a charity school. We must part, sir. If you please, and the sooner the better.
There is no time like the present. James Steerforth. The best wish I can leave you is that you may come to be ashamed of what you have done today.
Who's making that noise?
Little Miss Traddles, sir.
Mr. Tungay. The cane, if you please.
Cane, Mr. Creakle.
Come here. I've no patience with a boy that cries. We must teach you to be a man, Master Traddles.
Be a man, Master Traddles.
Bend over, boy.
Glad to be going home, I am.
Oh, yes, Mr. Marcus. I've made some good friends, though.
How long's the holidays?
Just a month, that's all.
Did you give her the message?
Peggotty?
Ah, her.
Why, yes, I wrote to her. I told her Barkis is willing. Wasn't that right, Mr. Barkis?
Well, the message was right enough. Came to an end there.
Came to an end, Mr. Barkis.
Nothing come of it. No answer.
Was there an answer expected?
Stands to reason. The man says he's willing. It's as much as to say that that man's a-waiting for an answer. This man's been a-waiting ever since.
Have you told us so, Mr. Barkis?
I got no call to go and tell her so.
Would you like me to do it, Mr. Barkis?
You might tell her, if you would, that Barkis is a-waiting for an answer. Says you, what name is it?
Her name?
Ah.
Peggotty.
Christian name or narrow name?
Oh, no, that's not her Christian name. Her Christian name is Clara.
Is it, though? Well, says you, Barkis is a-waiting for an answer. And she says, perhaps, answer what? Says you, what I told you. And what is that, she says? Barkis is willing, says you. Barkis is willing.
Davy? This is your brother, Davy. Your new brother.
My brother?
Don't you think he's handsome?
Yes, he's very handsome.
Oh, Davy.
May I hold him, please?
Yes, of course you may. Now be very careful. Hold him gently.
I'm David. I'm your brother. I've been away at school, but I'm back now. What's your name?
Oh! The boy's got the baby. Give him to me. Give him to me. How could you be so foolish, Clara? How could you allow such a thing?
But he was quite safe, Jane.
That boy can't be trusted with anything, let alone a baby.
I wasn't doing any harm.
Don't answer back. Don't be impertinent.
Causing trouble already, David?
No, sir.
He was holding the baby.
I wasn't going to drop him.
He was holding it with your permission?
Why, yes. He is his brother, I thought.
No, you did not, Clara. It was a thoughtless thing to do. Unwise and thoughtless.
I'm sorry, Edward. Please forgive me.
Is trunk unpacked?
No, sir.
Then go and do it at once. And wash your face, boy. You look like a savage. Another thing, Clara. You forget. The baby is only David's half-brother.
He's waiting for what, my precious?
He's waiting for an answer.
What on earth's he on about?
That's what he told me, Peggotty, word for word. If a man's a-willing, it means he's a-waiting for an answer. That's what he said.
If a man's willing? Oh, heaven! Oh, heaven!
That's what he said, Peggotty.
Oh, Lord have mercy!
Peggotty! What's the matter? What are you doing, you silly creature?
It's something to do with Mr. Barkis.
Mr. Barkis?
He sent a message, you see.
To Peggotty, but why?
Oh, drat the man who want to marry me.
Will you, Peggotty?
What, marry Barkis, my dear me?
It would be a very good match for you, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't have him if he were made of gold. I wouldn't have nobody.
Not just yet, perhaps.
Never, never.
Don't leave me, Peggotty. Please stay. Whatever would I do without you?
Me leave you? My precious, now what's put that idea in your silly little head? Peggotty leave you? Not that there wouldn't be some cats that'd be well pleased if she did, but they shan't be pleased. They should be aggravated. I'll stay with you till I'm a cross, cranky old woman. And when I'm too old to be of any use, I go to my Davy, ask him to take me in.
Oh, yes, please do. You'll be as welcome as a queen.
Bless your dear heart. I know I will.
Yes, they are wonderfully alike. They are exactly alike.
What are you talking about, Clara?
The baby's eyes and Davy's are exactly alike.
What nonsense. You're a perfect fool sometimes, my dear.
Well, they're very similar.
A positive fool. Who else could compare my brother's baby with your boy? They're not at all alike. They are exactly unlike. They are utterly dissimilar in all respects. Well, just look at him. As sulky as a bear.
And of all tempers, a sullen disposition is the worst.
That boy's the most sullen I've ever seen. The most confirmed and obdurate.
I don't think you understand him, Jane.
Don't understand him? My dear Clara, I should be somewhat ashamed of myself if I could not understand that boy or any other boy. I don't profess to be profound, but I do lay claim to common sense.
You're being weak and inconsiderate, Clara. Keep a watch on your tongue.
Yes, Edward, I'm sorry.
My sister's right, David. You have a sullen disposition and must endeavour to change it.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Murchison. I never meant to be sullen.
Don't take refuge in a lie, sir. You've been sullen and ill-tempered the entire holiday. We shall all be thankful when you return to Salem House.
Indeed we shall.
Where are you going?
Upstairs. To read, sir.
I will not have this room shunned as if it were infected at the pleasure of a child. Sit down! One more thing, David. You're spending far too much of your time with Peggotty. The kitchen will not improve you in the many respects in which you need improvement. I wish this association to be abandoned. Is that clear? Abandoned.
Oh, Peggotty.
Davy.
Come on! Harder! Oh! Come on! Get him harder! Come on!
Quiet, all of you! Everybody dressed?
Yes, sir.
Right then, cut along. And quietly. I said cut along, Traddles.
I just want to give this to Copperfield, sir.
What is it?
A present. It's his birthday. Thank you, Traddles.
It's rather
Thank you very
small, I'm
much.
afraid. Pocket money running out. Baked yesterday. Should be fresh. See you downstairs. Bye, Traddles. Bye.
Not you, Copperfield.
Sir?
Your excused prayers this morning.
Because it's my birthday?
No. Mr. Creakle sent me. He wishes to see you in the parlour.
Oh, what have I done, Steerforth?
Oh, it's nothing you've done. He wants to tell you something.
What?
It's about your family.
My family?
I think perhaps he should tell you himself.
No, Steerforth. What is it? Please tell me.
When you left home after the holidays, were your family all well?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
And your mamma, was she quite well?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Davy. I should have let Mr. Creakle.
Is she ill, Steerforth?
Worse. She's dead.
Davy? Oh, my poor Davy. Now, don't cry, my pet. You've been doing it now for a whole week. It breaks my heart to see you.
Look, Peggotty. I found this. My old book of fairy tales. I was even going to give it to him. To my little brother.
Now, there. You hang on to old Peggotty.
Why did they both have to die, Peggotty? Why?
Well, that's something I can't never tell you, Davy. Nobody can. You see, the world changes every day, my precious. The people in it pass away. Some when they're young and some when they're old. See, your mamma, she hadn't been well for a long time. And the baby, he was so weak and helpless. Poor little lamb. It was just like her. But that last night, Davy, she said to me, Peggotty, you sit by me while I sleep and don't leave me. And she lay with her head on her cross old Peggotty's arm, and she died like a child that had gone to sleep.
You're upsetting the boy. Leave him alone.
No, sir, please.
Come down to the parlour. My sister and I want to talk to you.
I'll be right back.
The boy no longer needs you, Peggotty.